You're listening to Real Folk with me, Jo Burke. Welcome, Anna Kennedy, to Real Folk, and thank you so much for coming on and having a chat with me. I really appreciate it. I know how busy you are. I was thinking of how to introduce you to our listener, and I mean, educator, obviously, but also you've got the old OBE, and also you're a Strictly contestant. So, you know, they're just like my favourite things in the world.
Yeah, Strictly. It's just like, I can't believe it was 6 years this week when we were at Earl Street Studios.
Was it really?
Yeah, 6 years. I can't believe it. It's just like, and what the wonderful thing is that we've all still remained friends, the six of us that took part, and they never ever did it again. They were going to do it actually the following year, but apparently it cost far too much. And we were supposed to be mentors for the next contestants, but they just never did it again because they said it actually cost too much.
It was such a good thing to do because it was all just real people, and it was amazing to see the journeys that you all went on as well. And you were with one of my favourites. I've forgotten his name now. How rude! What was
Robin,
his
Robin
name?
Windsor.
Yes.
I'll tell you a funny story about forgetting his name. I told him, I didn't tell him till a year after. But what we did was we had what was called the reveals, and that was going to be filmed. So I had to go to a part of London in a restaurant, and they filmed me like walking down the road going into the restaurant. I had to do that so many times. I was fed up. And then I went into the restaurant, sat down, and then a girl came out and did some Charleston, and then there was a few more girls came out, and then they huddled in a group, and then Robin jumped out and he had a feather boa on, and I looked at him and I thought, and then I couldn't remember his name, and I thought, they're filming me. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to say? So I just went, hello, dance partner. Then I told him a year after, and he went, oh my God, I can't believe it. So he was amazing. I loved it. I think for me personally, I think I had the best partner. He was just so lovely. He taught me about fun. I'd forgotten all about how to have fun because I'm so focused on what I do all the time. You know, I'm very passion driven, and he reminded me of what it's like to have fun. And then we did this thing where, because I was doing the Charleston, we had to do lots of facial expressions, and I found that really, really hard. So we spent the whole day in the mirror, and he said, right, you're not Anna anymore, you're Betsy. So I thought, right, okay. So I was Betsy, and we were just doing facial expressions. The laughter we had, the pair of us doing it. And then Max Branning, as in Jake Wood, he was my mentor.
Yes.
Doing facial expressions with him as well. We were crying with laughing. But I managed to sort of crack it in the end and overcome my inhibitions about making funny faces.
That's the perfect way to learn how to make yourself a bit of a fool, isn't it? With old Robin Windsor and the Strictly team.
No, it was lovely. And then we did a Strictly group number as well, which was amazing. So we were with Jeanette Manrara, Ali Ash.
Oh, I love her. I love her.
She is lovely. She's definitely a little pocket rocket.
Yes.
And then there was Ian, and then we had the judges, and that's when Craig couldn't be a judge, but we met him the 2 weeks before at Wembley to show him how far we had got. We were absolutely bricking it, all of us. We were thinking, my God, we're going to be dancing in front of Craig. And he, you know what, he was so lovely. And he gave us lots of tips and all the rest of it. And then that was when Anton was the first time he was a judge on Strictly. And the exciting thing was that Robin and I got 4 10s. We couldn't believe it. And Robin was over the moon because he'd never got 10s before.
Oh, well, that's what it took you, Anna, you see. He needed you to help him get those 10s.
It was so wonderful. And the backing of the autism community, because what I was doing was we did it over a period of 3 months. Obviously, we were filming and taking photographs and all that. And there were certain things that you weren't supposed to share, but I was really naughty. And I was sharing a few bits and bobs. And the whole of the autism community were following me on my journey. And then I remember when we did 4 shows, and it was 4 different shows on the BBC, and it was for comic relief. And basically, it was our backstories, the history of the dance that we were learning, how we were getting on, all those sort of things. And that's what made it interesting as well for a lot of people that was watching. And then on the actual final program, obviously it was the real thing in the studio in front of 880 people. And when it was on television, my social media was going bonkers. It's like, go Anna and Robin. I think I had something like 3 million retweets and impressions. It was just like totally bonkers.
Yeah, and thank goodness they managed to do it last year as well. It was so needed, wasn't it?
Oh, I loved it. I love all the sparkle, the costumes. I like to watch how people progress with their dancing as well, how the relationships form as well. Yeah, no, it's all good. It's just something that we all needed, a bit of normality, wasn't it?
And I know we've got carried away with Strictly, and I knew we would because I'm a massive, massive Strictly fan. And obviously you being on it and knowing all the insider detail is too much for me. My head's about to explode. But your main drive and the reason that you ended up actually on Strictly was because of all your work educating people and specifically educating them about autism, which is something your son has, I believe.
I've got 2 sons actually that are on the spectrum. So
right, okay.
Yeah, Patrick's 31 now. Can't believe he's 31.
Wow.
He's got a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, and Angelo is 27, and he's quite profoundly affected by his autism and sensory processing condition and has nocturnal epilepsy, hence why a lot of people see me up in the middle of the night on social media, because Angelo doesn't sleep very much.
Oh my goodness. And so when obviously part of these podcasts that I'm doing, it's about, finding out about the real person. And I know obviously lots of people, especially since you've been on Strictly, you've got this massive fan base now and lots of people know you for what you've done with autism and educating and getting your OBE, which is amazing. But what people might not know so much about is maybe your background, how you were brought up and when you found out that each of your children had some difficulties and what drove you to change things.
Yeah. Well, you probably picked up from my accent. I'm from the northeast. I was born in Middlesbrough, but my parents are Italian.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and my parents are Italian. Very strict Italian dad. Didn't really want me to. I started tap dancing when I was 5 years old, and I kept tapping my feet under the desk at school all the time. And I used to drive the teacher mad. And then she said to my mum, "There's a tap dancing class just up the road from the school." And this just shows you how old I was. It was 6pence a class.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So we had to go down into a cellar, and that's where I learned how to tap dance. I absolutely loved it. I loved the rhythms. What I used to do was in the olden days, they used to have twin tub washing machines, and I used to love the beat of the washing machine, and I used to make up tap dance steps to the beat of the washing machine. And then my mum had lino, and I used to wear the lino down all the time. But my dad didn't want me to dance. He just didn't want that. He wanted me to learn to play the piano. So I did learn to play the piano, but I did it until I was about 11. But then because I felt that I did enjoy playing the piano, but then he wanted me to stop dancing. So then I dug my heels in and I said I didn't want to play the piano anymore. Anyway, in the end, I kick myself now because I wish I'd have carried on with the piano and doing the dancing, but I think I was just like rebelling. Because that's so how you are as a teenager. So so I did stick to the dancing, even too much to my dad's horror. And it was my mum that pushed me to do it as well, because she loved it. She was a seamstress. She used to make all my costumes.
Oh,
I won a lot of tap dancing competitions because we used to do them all across the northeast.
Wow! So you were one of those families that you sort of hoofed it around the northeast then with your mum doing all your costumes. That's amazing.
Yeah. So that was great. That was my escapism. And the reason being because my dad was so strict and I wasn't allowed to go to my friend's house, all that sort of thing. So, and then I met my husband, Sean, when I was working at Winniebanks Community Centre. And what I was doing there, which is quite ironic, was I was actually in a youth club working and supporting people with special educational needs, which is a bit, like almost destiny that what I'm doing now. And then my husband went to Brunel University and he didn't want to leave me behind, but my dad didn't want me to go to London. So I left home with £20 and a suitcase.
A whole £20, Anna.
Yeah. And my husband was waiting for me at King's Cross Station. My dad was furious. Yeah, then we lived on campus. We just hardly had any money. And like my husband was working at night at Tesco's filling shelves, and we used to get all the.
My mum did that.
Oh, did she? And then we got all the cheap food at the end. We lived on like things that were going out of date.
Broken biscuits.
Yeah, stuff like that. And I worked at Woolworths, and then I was teaching dance in the evening. So yeah, that's how we sort of went from day to day, really. And but Dad didn't speak to me for about 6 months because he said that I'd hurt the family and blah blah blah. So anyway, I went back to visit my mom, and my dad was cleaning the car, and then he just gave me a hug, and everything was okay. But yeah, but I suppose he sort of molded me in a way, because he was always saying about, when you go out, always hold your head up high, be proud, always give everything that you've got when you're doing stuff. I sort of took that with me, and I'm very driven. I'm very enthusiastic about stuff that I do. I don't like it when people tell me no. I suppose that's from when I was younger as well. I'll find a way to, that somebody's going to open the door for me, or to say yes.
Yeah, you just keep banging.
You do. And then I think it's my children that have, again, really sort of make me have this drive inside of me, because obviously when they were both diagnosed, and then I was trying to find the right school for them, there wasn't anywhere, and no one seemed to care about people or children with autism over 22 years ago. I know things are a little bit better now, but still parents are struggling and fighting for all the milestones through their children's lives. So whether it's diagnosis, whether it's trying to find the right type of school, whether it's transition in adulthood, it's almost like, oh, they don't need any support now, they're 18. Well, of course they do. It's a lifelong condition. My job, I think now, is what I do is I try and create opportunities wherever I can, or platforms, or I'm doing a petition at the minute, because obviously everything that's going on within COVID, parents are worrying about what's going to happen to their kids when they're dead and gone. And in the social care system, there's not that much going on, and local authorities don't even know, which parents are looking after their adults at home. I think it was something like 1 in 4 local authorities know which parents are looking after their adults or children at home.
It's terrible, isn't it? And actually, talking about that as well, I happened to watch a couple of weeks ago when it was on Katie Price's documentary with her son Harvey.
Yeah.
And who should pop up, Anna, but you?
Yeah, I met Katie a few years ago, and we started chatting on social media, and then I introduced her to Autism's Got Talent, which she absolutely loves. And Harvey his eyes were just like he was listening, and and he had his iPad and he was recording stuff, and he was just enjoying the whole experience. And he presented one of our acts, Daniel, who's now one of my ambassadors. And from then on, she started telling me about the trolling and the bullying that Harvey had been receiving. So he became our anti-bullying ambassador. And talking about that today, Katie's actually launching a new petition. She is going to, because he's still getting horrific trolling. It's just like, I don't know what it is, but since COVID and lockdown, that more people have gone onto social media, and the bullying has got worse. I've got parents messaging me about, bullying online, because our children and adults are trying to make friends, in the community, also at school at lunchtime, it's the most prevalent time.
It's shocking, isn't it?
It is. And what Katie's trying to do, she's trying to find somewhere for Harvey now, because he's nearly 19. And obviously the school that he's at, the education finishes there. So she's looking for somewhere. And I said, you need to start early. And she didn't realise how early she had to start. And I said, transition is key for Harvey now. And you're not going to find a college that's off the shelf, because he's got so many disabilities and health-related issues. I said, you're going to have to try and find somewhere. And so she started searching. And obviously now you can't visit places because of lockdown. It's all virtual, but she wants to go and visit the college itself. So she's managed to see somewhere that she feels that will be appropriate for Harvey, which is the National Star College. And she's got to fight for the funding now. However, I said to her, 3 hours away from where you live. And I said, the only thing I'm saying is that if he's finding it difficult, and obviously Harvey has challenging behaviour, he can hurt himself. And I said, if something happens or he's unhappy or what have you, they can come in and take him off to the mental health unit. I said, and you're 3 hours away, it's going to take. And once he gets sectioned or anything like that, I said, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to prepare you for what's out there. And she said, I never even thought about that. So I introduced her to some parents that, where this had happened sadly to their children and their adults. And, they've been locked away, miles away from where they lived. And, they were in there for like 18 months, 2 months. Oh, there's some really, really horrendous stories. And again, that's why I'm pushing the petition, because I want to know when I'm dead and gone that my sons...
It's not going to happen.
Yeah, that they're okay. And when I started sharing about this is the question and the worry at the back of a lot of parents' minds. It keeps them up at night, So I said, you need to start preparing. Check out the MenCat website. They've got lots of information on there about trusts as well. Set up a trust so that social services doesn't come in and take all your money. There are some really, really fantastic, services out there for adults, but there really are not so nice services as well. So, we need to make sure that, we prepare our kids so that they can navigate this complicated world as best possible.
Yeah, I mean, you've done such an amazing job, because, I mean, clearly I know you said it's a very strange coincidence that right at the beginning of your life when you met your husband, you were helping others, and it seems like it's come full circle, or was some sort of prophecy.
Yeah.
But presumably, obviously, when you had your children, what age was it when you started to realise that that there was difficulties, that they were behaving sort of in a different way to what you would have expected?
Well, I had 2 very difficult pregnancies. I had preeclampsia and toxemia from both pregnancies. With Patrick, I had him really, really early, 11 weeks. So he was only 2 pounds when he was born. So that's why I thought he had a lot of difficulties, because of everything that he'd been through. He then, once 11 weeks after being in SCABU, he was in and out of hospital all the time. He got septicemia. He had rickets. He had glue ear. There was just like one thing after another. And I thought those were the difficulties that he was having with socialising with other children, was why he was finding it difficult. He's very glued to me all the time. I used to go out in the evening to work at a doctor's answering service, and he was like someone possessed, didn't want me to go out, wanted me to be at home. But obviously, I had to work because obviously my boys were at home at the time. So Patrick was diagnosed at 4. I didn't find out until he was 7 by accident, because the hospital paediatrician didn't tell me. And all those years that he was struggling at school, being bullied as well, we were going to see a therapist because Patrick was struggling so much. And the therapist...
So hang on, you found out at 4. So they knew that what he had at 4, and you weren't told until he was 7?
That's right. That's what. And all those years of me struggling, trying to get him into school, screaming and kicking, getting hold of the steering wheel. I had to spend so many days at the school just sitting in reception with him. So then, because of all the difficulties that he was having, the school said that they couldn't meet his needs. So that's when we had a meeting. So the therapist that we were seeing as a family, she couldn't make the meeting. So she put a report together. And on this report, then the very first sentence, I always remember, it said Patrick was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in 1994. And then I couldn't concentrate on the rest of the meeting because I thought, well, I didn't know this. And I remember the head teacher, actually, Mrs. Doherty, who had 11 children, said to me,
wow,
why didn't you tell us, Mrs. Kennedy? I said, because I've just found out now the same as everybody else. And I felt this like rush of blood would go from my feet to my head. And I just couldn't concentrate on the rest of the meeting. And why I knew what Asperger's was, because Angelo had been diagnosed with autism 6 months before that meeting. So I'd been researching about autism. And that's when I came.
So in actual fact, both of your sons had been diagnosed. One that you were, Angelo, who you were on the case with.
At 2.5, yeah.
But seriously, that's appalling.
It is. And then afterwards I kept thinking, what did I do wrong? Did I do anything wrong? And these are the things that parents do think at the beginning. And I thought, well, I don't drink and I don't smoke, and I don't take any tablets or anything like that apart from blood pressure tablets, which I've always taken. And I just thought, but then afterwards, when you start researching, there's nobody to blame. And in my opinion, there's lots of different opinions out there, but because it's a developmental condition, I believe it's hereditary. And I can actually see it through, my husband's family. My husband was diagnosed quite a few years ago. It was almost like a bomb that went off in my head, but then with no sound. I can't really explain it to you. But then I thought, for a person like me, I just thought, right, okay, what do I need to do? So that's when I was reading about everything. And then I thought, it's all about early intervention. That's how crucial it is. The earlier you start working with children, the better the outcomes. So I started becoming like a mini expert. And obviously I was an expert on my boys because I was with them all the time. So then I started meeting other parents, because I was told at the time as well that when my both boys were diagnosed, that they were the only two boys that were in Hillingdon that had autism. And I thought, surely not. And that's when I bumped into another parent whose son was diagnosed. Her son was having a real upset in the middle of the road, and I sort of recognised it, and I went up to her and said, "Is there anything I can do to help you?" And that's when we started chatting. And then all these other families started coming out of the woodwork, and then we set up a charity, and then we started. Our boys were at home for 3 years because there was nowhere for them to go, so they were only getting 5 hours home tuition from the local authority. So I got really frustrated with it all in the end. I thought, we can't live like this. My boys are not mixing with anyone, and they've got social interaction difficulties. So it's going to make it worse if they're just at home all the time. So I heard about a school, and they were going to knock it down and build 37 flats. And it was actually really close to where we lived. And I didn't even know it existed because it was down a pathway and it was all overgrown trees and what have you. And it used to be a school for children that had physical disabilities. So I climbed over the fence and I looked into the school, and then I thought, this is going to be perfect. And it was a school that, because the doors weren't wide enough for children with wheelchairs, that they were going to knock it down and build 37 flats. So anyway, to cut a long story short, my husband and I campaigned with lots of other parents who we were rallying round, and they leased the school to us for 30 years.
Amazing. That's such a great story. Get you, honestly.
And then,
you make it all sound so simple. So I just found this school around the back of my house, didn't know it was there. They were going to develop it. I said, no, we've got children that can be in that. That's perfect for my needs and the children. Yeah. It all just happened. It's incredible.
So 22 years ago, it was open, 1999, and we celebrated our 20-year anniversary. And what the lovely thing is that one of the first kids that came to the school is now a teaching assistant there. So how amazing is that?
Oh, that's just brilliant. I love that. So that's amazingly brilliant.
It's just like, it was an amazing experience. It was definitely a big learning curve setting up a school. I didn't know anything about how to write an advert for a head teacher.
Anna, you're hilarious. I'm just going to stop you. It's a big thing setting up a school. I just got to say, because to our listener out there, I'm completely and utterly blown away by the whole concept. A lot of people would, in your situation, finding out that you had one child, let alone both, and then your husband as well, that have these difficulties, Asperger's, autism, and, your response to that is, well, I'll just make my own school for these people that's been overlooked, and then you just do it, and it just happens. And then 20 years later, the people that you've taught there are then teachers there. It's just such an incredible, mind-blowing story. It really is. And the way you say it is hilarious, because
it's just like,
and then this happened.
To me, it's not mind-blowing. It's just like, I did it because I had to. And my husband then,
I get that, but seriously, it's like some sort of superhero.
Well, I don't see it like that. I just see it like a mom who's just like desperate for the right education for her boys, and I've helped a lot of other children along the way. And then as the boys started growing up, I was hearing all these horror stories about mental health units, sectioning. I thought, oh God, it started worrying me. So I said to my husband, because he's got an economic, that was the other thing I didn't mention. He got an economics and management degree when we just got the school. So I said, you'll be great for writing the business plan. So he was like really worried about being part of the school and setting it up, because what did we know and all the rest of it. And I was the one that kept driving, come on type of thing. So I said, So we were, we did work together, and it did cause a few arguments, and it did cause like stress because we were on it all the time, and then trying to bring up two boys as well, and we put all of our money into it, and we were like living off 9p tins of Aldi's beans and on toast, and it was stuff we had to do because we had to make it work. But as I was saying about all these horror stories for adults, I just said to my husband, you've got to become a solicitor or a barrister, because then you can fight for our boys if anything happens as they get older. So do you know what? That's what he did. And he's a really fantastic barrister. He now fights for people in court that get disability discrimination, special educational needs tribunal. So that's what he did. So I just felt we had to plug every hole so that we could look after our sons, but also help as many other children and adults as possible. And I'm not saying we got it right all the time. It was a huge learning curve. And as my sister says, I couldn't live your life the way what you do and what you live. She said, you'd be bored out of your head in my house. You're always on the go.
The thing is, it is the drive though. And it's not that, every mother that has a child that's poorly or has got any difficulty in any way wants to help them. But what you've done is, it goes beyond the call of duty, doesn't it? You've not just sort of put a safety ring and net around your own children. You've helped prepare and put it around so many other people's families. And that's not what everyone would do. It is extraordinary, Anna, whether you want to be called extraordinary or not. You absolutely are, because, there's doing stuff for your own and your own family. And then there's seeing this huge need and helping so many other people through such a trying and difficult time. You've really got to take every hat in the world off at the moment and tip it in your direction. And like you said, the scary thing now, because obviously you did all that 20 years ago and got things in place, made your husband become a solicitor. It's just like incredible. And now actually, I imagine, and it's what you're saying, it's instead of getting any easier, it's actually harder, because as they get older, they've got to try and live independently. And then, of course, at some point without you. You're listening to Real Folk with me, Jo Burke. This would ordinarily be an advertising break. But as I don't yet have an advertiser, why not check out standingoncustard.com, where you can buy all 4 of my children's books, plus my adult comedy book about online dating, all delivered free and signed by me. Standingoncustard.com. Back to the show.
So as they got older, by thinking, where are they going to go? Especially Angelo, because he's quite profoundly affected, and all the special educational needs colleges are like miles and miles away. And I thought, I don't want to send my son hundreds of miles away. So I thought, I need to set up a college now. So we decided to set up a vocational college, and we found a building. Again, they were going to knock it down. It was actually a hospital site, but it had so many different buildings on it. And it was a lovely site. It was called St. Vincent's. So I went and had a little look around. Spoke to people that were there that were leasing it and all the rest of it. So again, there was so much work that needed to be done, and so I met this lady who was they did projects. They were all working in the Navy, but they did projects sort of to get people together and all that sort of thing. So we had a whole load of Navy people come to do painting, all sorts of different jobs, and parents again, grandparents who were Corgi gas registered for help with the plumbing and all that sort of thing. So that was another project we did, and we did that quite quickly. And the reason we did that was because there was one of the chaps that was working with me at the time and wanted to get the school off the ground. His son was in this mental health unit, which I went to visit. Oh my God, what an awful place. And he was misdiagnosed with schizophrenia, and he didn't have schizophrenia, he had autism, and they'd given him medication for schizophrenia. So that made him have psychotic episodes. So his father wanted to get him out of this dreadful place. So that's why we decided that we wanted to set up this vocational college and a residential home on the same site. Again, another huge learning curve, but we managed to do it. I met such an amazing chap, gentleman, sadly he's died now. He's a war veteran, David Kamsler. He was from Basingstoke. He saw an article that was in the Times newspaper. He wrote to me. He said he wanted to help me. And we just became such good friends. And he used to share his stories. I used to share my stories. And he got me so much furniture. And I used to get all my paper, like office stuff from him. Yeah, he was such a character. And then he got quite ill. And then I still used to see him. I used to go down once every few months with my PA Lisa. We used to take him sausage and chips. That's what he wanted. We used to sit and have them. And he had some amazing photographs and medals and everything in his house. He's missed his wife that sadly had died. But what an amazing man he was.
I bet I'd have loved to have had him on here having a chat about his stories. I can imagine that he had millions of them. Yeah,
he's an amazing war veteran. So, so that we set up the college, and that's where Angelo is now. So he started there about 5 years ago. And then I decided I needed to set up Anna Kennedy Online, because the reason I wanted to set it up was that parents were writing to me saying they were really struggling with diagnosis, trying to find the right type of school, everything I went through. And I thought it hasn't really changed that much since my boys were diagnosed. So I decided I needed to set up something. And now I've got an amazing team of volunteers. No one gets paid in the charity. We all volunteer. I don't get paid. And we do it because we want to do it. We're driven. They're mainly parents of children who are autistic or autistic adults themselves. We've got some fantastic role models, and we've got patrons. And Harvey, as I say, is one of our ambassadors. Katie's one of our ambassadors. Casey Ainsworth, who was Little Mo in EastEnders and also in Grantchester. Her husband's got autism and her son. So she supports a lot of the work that I do. We've got a huge fan base, if you like, where they're all parents and carers and autistic adults that, they know that what we do is because we're driven because of our sons and our daughters. And
so what you've got now, so you've got 2 schools and Anna Kennedy Online.
No, two schools, a college and a residential home was what I set up. And then last year I decided that I just wanted to focus on the charities. I thought, I've created these facilities. It's now down to the head teachers and all the people that are employed there. I decided that I just want to focus on the charity, and I'm just doing so many different projects now. Ambassador to lots of different groups and patron, and I'm on radio as well. I do that once a week. All Things Autism in Essex. All Things Autism on Women's Radio, and then once a month I do All Things Autism in Essex with one of my ambassadors, Aston, who's another amazing chap. We've got all these events that we've created. Autism's Got Talent, which is fantastic. We're celebrating our 10th year this year, hopefully in October. And we do something called the Charity Autism Hero Awards, where we celebrate people that go the extra mile. So it could be parents, it could be carers, it could be professionals, grandparents, autistic individuals, reporters that write really, really good articles, businesses. We get inundated with entries. And then it's down to 7 judges, gladly not me, that have to choose 3 finalists. And they find it so difficult. They find it.
It must be hard.
Yeah, they always ask for extra time.
And so if anybody wanted to apply for Autism's Got Talent, how do they do that?
Everything's on the charity website. So what's happening this year is, because last year we had to postpone it because of lockdown and COVID, and we're now hopefully keeping our fingers crossed that we're going to be able to do it in October. So all those 20 performers that were going to perform last year are going to be performing this year. But if you are interested, just send in your YouTube clips into the charity. All the information's on the website. You can see our events page, and then we'll hold them until we do the next one next year. We also do road shows as well. We take it across the country. We go to St Ives. We've been to my neck of the woods, Middlesbrough. We've been to Liverpool, been to Essex. It's amazing. I can't stress enough how amazing it is. You have to be there to appreciate what I'm talking about.
In fact, I think actually, did you hold one many years ago in a London hotel? Because I think I was there. Did you have some dancers from Pineapple there?
Yep, Pineapple from dancers, and we also had a street dance crew as well. What I do as well is when I've asked to speak somewhere or go to an event, I always say, "Oh, how would you feel about having some of our performers perform.
Yeah.
And usually they say yes, so that gives them another platform for our kids and our adults, and also increases their confidence. And you never know,
it's amazing.
you never know who could be there as well that sees them. I even get like Britain's Got Talent always message me as well, say, have you got anyone for the show? Or The Voice messages me, the Kids' Voice, have you got anyone for the show? So, I am known as the Simon Cowell of the autism world. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But I just love Autism's Got Talent. It's like the highlight of my year. I absolutely love working with the children and the adults. And the best bit is that I can tell you about the show is that when we do the technical rehearsals, they are good when they perform, but you can see they're a bit nervous. But then when they actually come to the evening and the red carpet's out and, we put on the show, they step it up like 200%. And then when they get the applause from everyone and so many standing ovations, you can see their chest puff out and walk off the stage as if to say, I've done this, I can do it, and that's the best bit for me.
It must be magical.
Yeah, that's what I say. You have to be there to appreciate what I'm talking about. So if you get the opportunity and you see Autism's Got Talent, come to where it is that you are. If you want to travel down, have a day out in London.
Go and watch it.
When we can.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, it's soon.
I know. So, yeah.
Yeah, it must be just such a really feel-good vibe. And it is. There's nothing like watching people that start off, not particularly confident, just growing in confidence and giving it their all and enjoying the sort of adulation. And it's just such an amazing thing for them and for everyone. It's such a win-win situation, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And then the friendships that they create as well behind stage, some of them haven't got any friends, and then what happens is after the show, number one is after the show they want to do it again because they love it so much. And then they all apply next year for the next show. But they also create these friendships. They have like WhatsApp groups where they chat to each other, and parents mingling and sharing their stories. And it's just, I always remember there was a father and son, they're rappers, and they've been on quite a few times at our Autism's Got Talent. They're called FMKH Plus 12. They write their own raps. And they said to us is that when they come to Autumn's Got Talent, they feel like they can just be themselves. They just feel like they've come home.
That's wonderful. Are you still there? Sorry,
my son was trying to ring me and I've just...
That's all right. That's all right. If he needs you, you can go.
I know what it's about. He's pestering me about something.
Is he? What does he want?
It's just like a video clip he sent me. He's mad about Batman. You know what the thing is with Patrick? He's on furlough. He needs to go back to work. And he said to me, I need the structure of work, Mum. And he's been off for quite a few weeks now. He works at Pinewood Studios.
What does he do?
He works in the offices at Pinewood Studios. He absolutely loves it.
Oh, how interesting.
So, and the most exciting thing for him is because he's mad about paleontology and dinosaurs, he was given the opportunity to have a little peek when they were making Jurassic World.
Jurassic.
He was like beside himself.
Well, wouldn't you be? I mean, wow, that's like the dream, isn't it?
So like some of the props and things he could see, but it was not, it was like he had to keep it quiet and all the rest of it. So he hasn't taken any photographs or anything, but he was just able to see a few of the props and what have you. So
that's incredible. But like you say, though, again, this is another thing that's obviously hit people that have any additional needs and difficulties this lockdown, because routine is hugely important to anybody with autism and those sorts of needs. So the fact that if they have been furloughed, that's going to have affected them. I mean, it's affected everyone pretty badly, but people that are absolutely tied to routine, it must be a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, he is struggling now. It was like great the first sort of 2 weeks, hey, I'm on furlough,
holiday,
being free like Tuesdays and Thursdays, and obviously he's got work that he has to do. But then now it's like the novelty's worn off, he needs to go back to work. But a lot of families are saying it's really tough for them. You've got other families that say it's nothing really that new for us because my son hasn't got a school to go to, so he's at home anyway. Some families are saying that their kids' behaviours have improved since they've been at home because they don't have to have the pressures of school or any bullying that they may have been experiencing at school. So it's all a little bit different for each family. Just depends. Obviously, it can be stressful for families that maybe their parents have lost their jobs. Sadly, I know of some families where, one parent has died of COVID. It's not good. I can't wait till we get back to normal, whatever that may be.
So I'm presuming, did your schools and colleges obviously shut, or did they manage to remain open?
Been a bit of off and on, and the reason being is that staff were getting diagnosed, and then they would staff the schools, then it would close for 2 weeks, and it's been very bitty, sort of bit off and on, which I suppose is a little bit more unsettling than being off the whole time.
That is quite challenging, isn't it? In and of itself, it's all very well being told that you can't do any work or go in, and then you could sort of make allowances and adjust, but when it's 1 minute you're in, the next minute you're out, and as we were just saying, especially if routine and having sort of a structure is massively important, then it makes it even tougher.
And plus, a lot of children and adults are not suited to online learning. Even people that, obviously haven't got special education needs, they just find it really difficult.
Well, the thing is, it's a real strain. I mean, my husband's a teacher, and he had to teach online for that whole time, and he obviously just went back this week.
Yeah.
But he was suffering from headaches from staring at the screen all day, because that's not what a teacher signs up to. He was suffering with back pain because of being sat down all day. Again, that's not something he did. So it affects everybody. Suddenly saying, okay, your basic outlook for the day is your computer. Enjoy.
And the thing is, when you're on the computer all the time, for me, it feels like my eyes have been sucked out of my head. It's just, there's only so long that you can be on the computer for, or your phone, or wherever it is, however it is that you're working. You've got to go out for walks, and that's what I've been doing, because I love my dancing. So I'll have a little mad dance in the office, and I'll share it on social media, and they'll go on, Anna. So
it's good that you're still dancing. So do you have lessons still now? Did Robin stay with you for lessons, or?
Well, we did. 2015 was when we obviously did the show, and then after that I did a few shows with him, and then I was asked to do a tour with them. So I danced at about 9 different theatres, which was amazing. Absolutely loved it. But obviously nobody's been able to do anything for ages. So for Christmas, I asked Robin if he would do a quiz and a little dance for my volunteers. So we were all online doing that. Well, Zumba used to be my thing, and I used to do that.
Oh, I love Zumba too, yeah.
I did it on a Thursday night. I used to call it my autism free zone. But obviously now it's online, and I must admit, I don't like doing dance lessons online, so I just do my own thing. So I make sure I do 10 minutes at some point during the day where I just do a bit of exercise. I'll do a bit of dancing, and it's just to let off steam. Would
you advise that to everyone? Because I think that's interesting that you said it's my autism free zone. I think if you were sort of advising anyone caring in any capacity for either elderly or children or a partner, that to set aside a certain amount of time for yourself.
Yeah, I set up a campaign called Take 5, and what I'm saying to people is that you don't want to burn out, because then if you do burn out, you're no good to anyone. So I know it's hard. Especially now, and obviously one-parent families, it's hard for them too, but just try and get some time for your me time. So whether it's a walk around the block, whether it's, going in the bath and having a glass of wine and sit with a few candles or whatever it is that rocks your boat, that, it helps you to recharge your batteries, you need to do it. So for me, as I say, it's just 10 minutes every day, doing a bit of dancing or a bit of exercise. And then at the weekend, I do a lot of walking with my son, Angelo. We go to various different parks, and that's another good stress buster, because Angelo walks quite quickly. He's like RoboCop. So I walk quite quickly now with him, and he helps me sort of keep fit. And then we stop off at the cafe, get a drink and a piece of lemon cake or whatever it is that he wants. And that was difficult as well, because everything's changed now. You can't sit here and you can't do this. And because Angelo likes his routine, and he was looking quite puzzled, even something is putting my face mask on. He wasn't sure about that. He was trying to take it off. He just won't wear one at all. So we always go really early in the morning to the park, because it's less busy. Because all of the families who've got kids with disabilities say, what's all these people going to the park? They never used to go when we were. No, we haven't. You know, we have to choose our times because if it gets too busy, it can get a bit stressful for families who've got
Yeah.
adults on the spectrum. So that's why I always go really early, go about 9:15, because the cafe's open at 9:30. So we walk half the way around, get to the cafe, get our drink and sausage roll or whatever it is that we want, and then we eat it, and then off we go.
When did you last have an actual holiday, Anna?
Hey, I haven't had a holiday for years. We used to go on holiday together, but it was so stressful that we decided it wasn't a good idea. And plus, my husband just doesn't like holidays. He likes being at home. So I think the last time we went on holiday all together was probably about 15 years ago. My break is when we go to St. Ives to do Autism's Got Talent. And we go there on a Friday. We come back on a Sunday. We have a little bit of time at St. Ives. And obviously we put on the show. I love it there. Oh, I just wish it was so much closer because I'd be going there every week. It just feel like you're in Britain, just like it's so lovely there. I love it.
Hey, but I was just thinking, because, you know, all the things that you've done in your life, it's been because you've needed it and it's not been there. So you've made it materialize out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, oh, well, if she hasn't been on holiday for 15 years and she needs a holiday, perhaps the next thing is a holiday centre. For all the people that need holidays but can't have them in the usual fashion.
Yeah, I go to visit my mum who lives in the northeast, and there's a place in Great Ayton, and Angelo can just about cope with a long weekend. So I take Angelo. It's a long drive, obviously, from London to Middlesbrough, and then we go to this place called Eastgate Farm, and there's about 5 cabins on there, and there's like 2-bedroom ones and 4-bedroom ones, and it's so lovely there. You can see roseberry topping, and it's about 6 miles away from where my mum lives, so she comes to see us. You know, it's like self-catering, and then we go for walks, and it's near Redcar Seaside, or we could go to Whitby. So that's like our long weekend. But the difficult part of that for me is that Angelo finds it difficult to sleep in a new place, so I usually need a week to get over the weekend.
So you are quite nocturnal then by nature, I suppose. Now you weren't, but obviously with
just grab sleep when I can. The most Angelo sleeps is about 3 to 4 hours if we're lucky. We have had all-nighters where he hasn't been to sleep at all, but I am aware now, you know, he's 27, and I think, you know, I'm not going to be able to look after him all the time. I realised I was like very, very stressed last year because it was my 60th birthday. And I just thought, oh, like 60, I'm getting old now. It was just like, I was so stressed.
Well, for one thing, Anna, you don't look even remotely. When we started this conversation with you tap dancing for sixpence in a cellar, I was like, well, I can't quite even equate that to how you look, because it doesn't seem like it could possibly be true.
And I just kept going on about it. My sister was saying, can you shut up? And then Lisa was like opposite me, the PA. She said, you don't even look your age. I said, yes, but I am 60. And so now...
Yeah, I mean, that's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whether you look it or not, that's our ages, and nothing you can do about it.
I know, but I don't feel it at all. I've got a lot of energy. I have got a lot of drive in me, you know, and I'm 61 on Friday. And again, that's just like, I can't, when I say it, it makes me want to go...
This Friday?
Yeah. So...
Oh, happy birthday for Friday.
Oh, thank you. But I'm going to be in the office at my own, so I'm going to put the music on, start dancing.
Do some dancing.
Do my own
Did you get to keep any of your Strictly outfits?
I had to buy. There was 2.
Oh.
We had the group number one, and my costume used to be Caroline Flack's. She was an amazing dancer on Strictly. Her costume, I bought that one, but I had to buy it for £600. £600. I love it, and I've worn it so many times, obviously because I was dancing.
Well, I think you need to pop it on Friday, love. Have a dance around the kitchen.
And then the purple one that I wore for the Charleston with Robin, that was like 750 quid. I thought, nah. So I thought I'll get the white one. I really like it, and because it was like Caroline Flack's, and it was like they adapted it for me as well. So I decided I wanted to keep that one. Well,
so what's next for you then, Anna Kennedy, birthday lady this week? What's the next cunning plan or plot that you're?
Well, we're hoping that obviously we can do our events because we're just, you know, we're chomping at the bit, all of us. We're all missing them. So
to get going.
Yeah. So September, hopefully, a bit St. Ives. October, it'll be at the Mermaid Theatre in London. And then November at the Chelsea Harbour Hotel for the Hero Awards. We're doing an expo. Normally we'd do Autism Expo at Brunel University, but we're going to be doing it online at the end of this month. So if anyone's interested, we've got 7 speakers, and then we do a lot of workshops online. So we've done them with Carrie Grant, because obviously she's got quite a few children that got special educational needs and disability. Did it with Katie Ainsworth. I'm doing stuff with Katie Price, quite a bit of stuff with Katie. We're doing an autism chat show that's going to be on her YouTube channel. So we're going to do one of those a month. Katie's got her second part of her Harvey and Me documentary, and apparently I probably be in that too.
Just listening to that list of things, amazing things that you're doing the rest of this year. What do you think, you as a little girl, if you could go back and, I don't know, have a little whisper in the ear of your, I don't know, 6-year-old self?
I know what you're trying to say. I always say to parents, never give in. If someone tells you no, find someone who's going to say yes. So I know that it's a saying that's been kicking around for a while, but it's always been my saying, either give up, give in, or give it all you've got and then some.
You know, so many people get sucked into the negatives of a situation.
Yeah.
And allow the weight of it to destroy them or become so heavy that it creates in and of itself more problems. But, you know, the way you've looked at life and you've hit head on every challenge that's sort of come your way, it's incredible and an absolute testament to you and probably your father.
Thank you. But what I'd like to say is that, you know, it is hard. I'm not saying it's a bed of roses. There are some really, really tough days. And as I say, some days good, some days not so good. But with this complicated special education needs and disability system, it is complicated. If you're finding it overwhelming, find somebody that can help you. There's always somebody out there, whether it's a support group or even like social media can be a really positive tool. So I know it's got some negatives, but it has got some positives as well. And I don't know everything that there is to know about autism. No one can. And if I don't know anything, I'll just say, hello, Facebook friends, or hello, Twitter friends, I need your help. And there's always people that jump on. Yep, I know where she can go, or I know somewhere in Liverpool, or I know somewhere in Manchester. There's just no way I could know everything. So there is always, and don't be afraid to ask. Doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that you need some help, and everyone needs help in life. So, you know, and always look after yourself, look after your mental health and your well-being, because you are the linchpin, you and your husband, or you and your carer, or whoever it is that's at home. You are the linchpin to the family to help your sons and daughters navigate this complicated system. It is complicated.
But it's not impossible, and that's the main thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Anna, thank you so very much for coming on to Real Folk. It really means a lot, and I think it's really important and helpful for people to hear such an inspiring story, and it really is. And we didn't even touch on your OBE, your OBE. Does the Queen give you that?
She did. My mother-in-law and my mother would be beside themselves because they were there, because you take 2 people. So yeah, she gave me the OBE, and she asked me how my boys were getting on and how was the school. And then, you know, you had to practice the courtesy and all those sort of things. It just felt like a big blur. And then that was in the morning. And then in the afternoon, I went home and I was sorting the washing out, and then the toilet was blocked. And I thought, I'm meeting the Queen. I wasn't blocking the toilet.
You can't write that stuff, can you? There you go. That's life for you.
Feet firmly on the ground. You know, for me,
right.
I always say to my sister, am I still the same? She said, yes, still mad.
Well, yours are firmly on the ground, but they're sort of tap dancing, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one.
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for asking me. And everyone, please keep safe, keep strong. One day at a time. We'll get there.
And it's Anna Kennedy online if anyone would like any help or assistance or to apply to Autism's Got Talent.
That's right. It's www.annakennedyonline.com. I'm on social media every day, you know, sharing stuff that I'm doing. So if you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Real Folk with me, Jo Burke.